What? Oh, all right. We'll get to that. So we're still on the same concept. So today we're starting with a different method of solving. Our objective for today is I can solve systems of linear equations by graphing and substitution. Let's read together. 1, 2, 3. I can solve. Let's read it again. 1, 2, 3. I can solve systems of linear equations by graphing and substitution. Okay, go ahead and copy that, please. And we don't need a Fourier model because yesterday we already covered what systems of equations were, right? So we know that they are two or more linear equations and they need to have the same variables. So we do need steps. So make sure you get your wrist loose. It's 5 simple steps. Copy those, please. So on the steps, circle some words and underline. For example, for the first one, solve. Circle that and then underline where it says for one variable. Step 2, circle substitute and underline into the second equation. The third step, solve. Underline the remaining variable. Step 4, substitute. Underline the known variable and solve for the last. At the end, write and underline coordinate and check. Copy that. I usually every year I show students how to use signs to remember the steps. For example, everybody look over here. What if I was in the front of the school, after school? Some of you see me out there with Mr. Lopez sometimes, right? What if I was over there and then you were passing by and I went like this? That said hi, right? No. Each sign means something, so it's in order for you to remember something. For example, the sign that I use for solve is going like this because we usually think in order to solve something. Solve. So remember, first step is solve one equation for one variable. Does it say which equation? Does it say which variable? No, you get to choose. Step 2, substitute. Once we get that equation solved, you get that equation substituted into the second. I use this symbol for substitution. Third, solve for the remaining variable of that equation. And at the end, substitute that value to solve for the last variable. At the end, you write a coordinate and check. This is what we call mnemonics in education, but you can call it signing if you want to look at it that way. So, in order for us to get started, copy this next example down, please. I'm going to go over this one step by step, so make sure you're focused, please. Here we go. Example 1 says, solve the system by substitution. X plus 2y equals -1, and x minus y equals 5. Copy that, please. Oh, sorry. Copy that. All right, here we go. So I'm going to go over the steps, step by step. When I ask you to copy, you copy. When I ask you to pay attention, just pay attention. All right, here we go. So pens down, pencils down, eyes up here, and I'll ask you to copy the step right after. So step 1 said, solve one of the equations for one variable. I'll stop right. So step 1 says, solve one of the equations for one variable. I can choose any which one. I can start with the first or the second. I'm going to start with the first one. So I'm going to rewrite that one here. I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to write x plus 2y equals -1. And right now you're just paying attention. And I'm going to solve for one variable. Which variable looks like would be the easiest to solve for? X, because it only requires getting rid of the y. If I was to solve for y, I need to get rid of x, and at the end divide by 2. Does everybody see that? So I'm going to solve for x. So I subtract 2y, subtract 2y. This becomes x equals -2y minus 1. Am I done solving for x? Yes, that was step 1. Copy that, please. So that was step 1. Pens down, please. Step 2 says substitute that equation into the second equation. What does that mean? That I no longer am going to use this one for right now, and I'm going to substitute this one into this one. So watch. X is equal to what? negative 2y minus 1. Is that correct? So now, let me write something that has nothing to do with this, but so that you can get the idea as to what we're doing. If they gave you this equation, x minus y equals 5, and they said x equals to 10, what do I write here instead of x? 10 minus y equals 5. Does that make sense? All right. However, now they give us a value for x, which is different, which is here. So instead of x, what do I write? Negative 2y minus 1. And then I bring everything else down. Minus y equals 5. That is step 2. Copy that, please. Step 3. So let me go through the process again. Did we solve one of the equations for one variable? Yes. Did we substitute that equation into the second? Yes. Step 3, solve for the remaining variable. Look at this. Which is the remaining variable? Y. So therefore, I'm going to draw my line down here. I'm going to solve for y. What can I do here? Let's do this one together. Everyone. Combine like terms. Negative 2y and negative 1y gives me negative 3y. Bring down the negative 1 equals 5. Continue. What do I do from there? Add 1 to each side. That is negative 3y equals 6. What do I do from there? Divide by negative 3. Divide by negative 3. Therefore, y equals negative 2. Copy that, please. Once again, the process. Solve one of the equations for one variable? Yes. Substitute that equation into the second? Yes. Solve for the remaining variable? Yes. So now, before we go to the next step, last night when we did our home play, we ended up with a point, didn't we? What is that called? The solution to the system. Is that correct? So what values do we need for that point? X and? So which one do we have already solved for? And which one are we missing? X, which means step 4 says substitute the value of that variable and solve for the remaining variable. What is the remaining variable? X. So I'm going to use this equation, and I'm going to substitute the value of y in here. So what is y? Negative 2. And I'm going to bring everything else down. The x, the equal, the negative 2, parentheses, minus 1. So, what is negative 2 times negative 2? 4 minus 1. What is 4 minus 1? 3. And that was step 4. Step 3 was over here. Oh, sorry. Step 3 was here when we solved for the variable. And the last step. Oh, by the way, copy that, please. Write as a coordinate and check. So, if I write a coordinate using these two values, what would be my coordinate? 3, negative 2. That is correct. That is the solution to the system. See what we just did? Yeah. Instead of graphing, today we're finding the point without graphing, using substitution. But let's check to see, make sure that that is the actual solution. So I'm going to write check. I'm going to write this equation over here, the x minus y equals 5. But instead of x, what goes there? No, instead of x, 3, and instead of y, negative 2, and I bring down the negative, the equal, and the 5. What is negative times the negative? Positive. So 3 plus 2, that's 5 equals 5. Is 5 equals 5? Yes. It's true for the first equation. But for systems, it has to be true for both. That means I need to check the other equation. What is my other equation? I'm going to write it over here. X equals negative 2y minus 1. I'm going to substitute the values again. What is x? 3. What is y? Negative 2. I bring everything else down. Equal, negative 2, parentheses, negative 1. What is negative 2 times negative 2? 4 minus 1. What is 4 minus 1? 3. Is 3 equal to 3? Yes. And let's write our statement. The solution to the system is 3 comma negative 2. 10 cubed. Now if I was to ask you why, you're going to say because after I checked it, it makes both equations true. Why is this a solution, guys? Because after we check, it makes both equations what? True. What if we were to graph this? Why would that point be a solution? Because that's where what? Both lines intersect. Everybody with me? See where I'm going with this? Hint, party, solve a system 3 different ways. Boom. Bam. Pretty good, huh? So here we go. Let's see all the steps. Step 1, solve one of the equations for one variable. Yes. Substitute that equation into the second. Yes. Solve for the remaining variable. Yes. Substitute that into one of the equations and solve for the other variable. Yes. Write as a coordinate and check. Did we do that? Yes. There's a process. Let's do another one. Copy this next one down, please. Yes. Here goes the next one. Example number 2. Okay, thank you. So, step 1, Marissa. So, solve one of the equations for one variable. What do you guys notice? We should do y, and what do you notice? It's already solved for y. So step 1, I want you to label it, step 1 is done. We're done with step 1. Everybody see that? So, what is step 2? Substitute this one into the second one. So this one, they give us a value of y. What is y? X plus 1. So on the second one, instead of writing y, what do we write? X plus 1. Bring everything else down. 4x plus equals 6. That was step 2. Step 3, what do? Solve for the remaining variable. Do you know how to do that? Yes. How can we solve for the remaining variable? What is the remaining variable? X. So, finish it up, please. Yes. 4x. I just brought this one down. Yeah? So, solve, combine like terms. This is 5x plus 1 equals 6. Subtract 1, subtract 1. 5x equals 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5. X equals 1. Hands if you got that. Okay, that was step 3. Step 4, we need to substitute this into one of the two and solve for what other variable? For y. So which equation do you want to use? Which one's the easiest? The first one. So you write y equals x plus 1, but instead of x, we're going to substitute 1 right here. Is that correct? Bring everything else down. Y equals plus 1. So what is 1 plus 1? 2. And our last step, write your coordinate and check. So what would be our coordinate for the solution? 1 comma 2, and you write solution. And we're going to check to make sure it works. I write my first equation, y equals x plus 1. But instead of x, I'm going to substitute 1. Instead of y, I'm going to substitute 2. So what is 1 plus 1? 2, and that's true. I'm going to write my other equation. 4x plus y equals 6. Excuse me. Instead of x, I'm going to write 1. Instead of y, I'm going to write 2. Bring everything else down. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Is 6 equal to 6? Yes. So what would be our statement? The solution to the system is 1 comma 2 comma because. Finish up your statement. We talked about it. You should know by now. Okay, share with your neighbor. Because why? Because after checking, it makes both equations true. Bam. Oh, 10Q. Yeah? How we doing? Good? Okay, let's do another one. Do this one by yourself. Here we go. Example 3. There it is. Y equals 3x and y equals x minus 2. Solve for the system. Go. Okay, here it goes. Step 1. Solve one of the equations for one variable. They're both solved. So I'm going to use the top one. What is y? 3x. So the second one, instead of writing y, I'm going to write 3x. So this is 3x equals x minus 2. From there, that was step 1. Step 1, step 2. Step 3, solve for the variable. Minus x, we're left with 2x equals negative 2. Divide by 2, x equals negative 1. Now we have x. Now we need to solve for y. I'm going to use the top equation, y equals 3x. But instead of x, I'm going to substitute in here negative 1. And this becomes y equals 3 times negative 1, so y equals negative 3. At the end, we write our coordinate and check. So our coordinate would be negative 1, comma, negative 3, and that's our solution. So your statement would be the solution to the system is negative 1, comma, negative 3. 10Q. Now, I'm not going to check this one for the sake of time. I want you guys to practice the process again. Here goes the next one. Copy this next one. Do this one by yourself. Example number 4. Copy that one. Example 4. The system is y equals x plus 3 and y equals 2x plus 5. You have 1 minute. Go. Here goes the process. Step 1. Solve one of the equations for one variable. They're both solved, so step 1 is done. Step 2, substitute one of these to the second. So instead of writing y, I'm going to write x plus 3 equals 2x plus 5. That's step 2. Step 3, solve for the remaining variable. Minus x, I'm left with I'm left with 3 equals x plus 5 minus 5 minus 5, negative 2 equals x. That was step 3. And step 4, substitute that into one of the equations. I'm going to use the top one, y equals x plus 3. But instead of x, I'm going to write negative 2. So this becomes y equals negative 2 plus 3. Therefore, y equals 1. Write your coordinate and check. So my solution is negative 2, 1. And we'll leave the checking for later. Copy this next one down, please. Number 5. Y plus 6x equals 11, and 3x plus 2y equals negative 5. Here we go. Step 1, solve one of the equations for one variable. Which one do you want to solve? The first one. So I'm going to write the first one, y plus 6x equals 11. What variable do you want to solve for? Y. So I subtract 6x, y equals negative 6x plus 11. So far so good? Alright, that was step 1. Step 2, substitute this one into the second one. That means I'm not going to use this one anymore. So the second one, y is negative 6x plus 11. Is that correct? Yeah. So on the second one, instead of writing y, what do I write? Negative 6x plus 11. However, look up please. Here's a slider. What is the 2 doing here to y? It's multiplying. That means you need to open a parentheses and write the 2. Bring down the plus, the 3x equal negative 5. Because if you don't do the parentheses, you're going to be making a big mistake on that one. So therefore, what do I do from there? Solve for the remaining variable. So what do? Distribute. This becomes negative 12x plus 11 equals negative 5. Bring down the 3x. And I'll let you finish from there and see what you get for your solution. Finish it all the way, please. Go. Yeah. Oh, 22, yes. I did that on purpose to see if you were paying attention. So now, if you solve this one, this became negative 9x plus 22 equals negative 5, minus 22 minus 22, negative 9x equals negative 27, divide by negative 9, divide by negative 9, x equals 3, hands if you got up to right there. We substitute that in here, so y equals negative 6 times 3 plus 11, y equals negative 18 plus 11, y equals negative 7. So my solution is 3, negative 7. Hold on before you leave, though. Here we go. Pay attention, please. So now, for your home plate, you're going to get something that looks like this. But we already did these. Check this out. They're talking about Video Club A, Video Club B. How many video clubs? 2 lines down, 1 across. A, B, and total. The only difference is when you set up, this one they charge $5 from the beginning, $3 of movie rental, but you write it in terms of Y and X. Did everybody see that? The second one, they charge right off the bat $8. It's $2 per movie, and you write Y equals 2X. But they want, when the costs are the same, that means 3X plus 5 equals 2X plus 8. You know how to solve for X. And do you know how to solve for Y after there? Once you get an X value. You don't? You substitute whatever you get into one of these and solve for Y. Your home plate for tonight is on pages... What is it? 290. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your home play. See you guys tamales.